Hello and welcome everyone. Thank you for joining us for this roundtable discussion on elevating seamless customer experiences in BFSI using the power of Gen AI. Now Gen AI is a hot topic of conversation in the industry, especially I'm sure BFSI. Nearly all of you are either using Gen AI or planning of using Gen AI at some point in time. It would be really interesting to understand through this conversation of what is the potentiality that you see in the technology, what are the limits, and when you are planning your digital transformation with Gen AI, what do you see are the real world applications, the practical applications that you can actually use to solve the challenges that you're facing across the organization. So with me here is Lalit from Exotil. I'd just like to bring him in to talk a little bit about what his organization does and the problem that they are trying to solve and how they're using Gen AI to solve some of these problems. Lalit?
Good evening, everyone. So at Exotil, we do not see Gen AI as an independent service, so to speak, right? Any offering that we have, any go-to-market that we have, Gen AI technically is seamlessly integrated into all the solutions, right? If I take a step back, and sort of simplify as to what we do. Today, any enterprise, when you want to talk to your end consumers, or the other way around, let's say the end consumers want to reach to you as an enterprise through any channel whatsoever. That's what we enable today. Now, we do that with two additions. One is providing a conversational context across channels, right? Assuming a user journey starts with WhatsApp, eventually moves over to a voice call, etc. We help you sort of carry that context from one channel to another so that the agent who's eventually talking has a complete context of what the history of that conversation was, right? So that sort of helps elevate customer experience, also gives the confidence to your customers or consumers that there is somebody who knows what I'm going through and I'm in the safe hands, so to speak, right? That's one. Two, in the agent assist form, because while there is a lot of noise around Gen AI, we also believe that it will not completely eliminate the human intervention, so to speak. The best possible way we believe is to use it in an agent assist format wherein we can use the power of the technology to ensure that your contact center agents eventually get the help using Gen AI when they are responding to the customer queries or trying to sell something or reach out and so on and so forth, right? This is how we are sort of enabling and orchestrating this entire Gen AI layer into all the technologies, whether it's chatbot, voice bot, contact center, or even WhatsApp banking and so on and so forth. That's where we stand. Happy to hear your context, your use cases. How are you looking into sort of envisaging this and sort of weaving this through into your existing journeys or thinking of creating new journeys? Happy to get that context and figure out as to where the synergies lie. Thank you.
So before we begin, I'm sure you all have been talking to each other and introduce yourself, but I would love if we do a round of introductions, share a little bit about our roles at our respective organizations. And one fun question is, which aspect of your life, like Gen AI has a productivity aspect and a prescriptive aspect, which is hopefully going to get smarter and smarter. Which aspect of your life would you allow Gen AI to prescribe, in terms of sorting out your finances or helping you choose the right home or helping you do some shopping? What do you think you would let Gen AI intervene? So let's start with Ananth because he's just joined us and then we'll move on.
You made it sound like a punishment because
No, just so that everybody is on board.
Hi. I am audible, yeah.
Yeah.
So I am Ananth. I am head of technology for Kotak Mahindra Asset Management Company, among the fifth largest mutual fund, domestic mutual fund house. Been there for almost 20 years. I had all the technology operations there, and of course provide the backbone for all the digital activities that happen there. Having said that, so I manage both infrastructure, application, and the entire gamut of IT activities out there. So the fun aspect is I would look at how to manage work-life balance if the AI is intelligent enough to give me that answer, and financial planning, absolutely critical. Once you do that, I guess all the other things get automatically kind of taken care of. Yeah.
Great. Preeti?
Yeah. So, on?
Yeah, it's on.
Just closer to your...
Yeah, now it's on.
Yeah, I think it's on. Hi, good evening, everybody. So, I am heading customer experience with Axis Finance Limited. So, we are a wholly owned subsidiary of Axis Bank, and we're doing a lot of stuff in terms of customer experience and customer service. And I want to add here that since we are an NBFC, the model here was that it was a very relationship-based model. So you did not really require that degree of customer service over here. But recently, about 3 to 4 years back, we forayed into the retail loans as well. So that is where we set up the entire customer service and experience piece. And I've really got lots of things to share because we started with just one agent and how we kind of grew,
Awesome.
and it was all very homegrown. So we'll talk more about that later. And coming to the fun fact, I think I'll agree with Ananth that if the financial planning piece is taken over, then it's really going to help. So that's one, and the other one is travel planning. Because I've got 2 young daughters, so we never kind of seem to agree on where we can go. So I think the travel planning piece also should help.
That's a good cue. I have a teenager daughter as well. So.
Fantastic. Ishaan?
So, it's Ishaan here. Basically lead the digital business for Reliance Securities, which also entails of the marketing of the group structure as well as generating revenue for the retail broking. So with Reliance Securities, basically currently we're dealing with, which is the retail broking, one part of it. The second is the institutional dealing that we do, and also currency commodities, third-party insurance that we are able to cross-sell. So in terms of major of the use case, yes, we do Gen AI whenever it comes to us. We have not taken any entrepreneur's plan as for a whole organization point of view, but point of sale, like if it's for a specific use case, like if I want to use it for obviously for better use for the companies, then when we use it. So we're not any paid plan as of now. And to as the fun part of it, majorly because most of our work entails about research. So I think in terms of any LLM model which can help us get better understanding from reading those longer documents or even skimming through any AMC documents, is just giving a brief is where I feel that Gen AI can maybe help us get much better solutions to.
We have a perfect product for that called ExoMind, so we should talk about that.
But what about in your personal life? How would you let Gen AI intervene?
So actually this includes, it is an intersection of both, because then I write a lot of content on LinkedIn as well as on my personal platform as well. So that's where most of the research that comes, I don't know, obviously, my post will not have colons, so you are not much more of emojis, so you'll not see that's completely copy pasted from a Gen AI model. But it's majorly that so it's majorly about if I want to research something about any specific industry which is not really readily available and want to save on my time, and that's where I see that as a use case. That's why it's like an intersection of both.
Fantastic. Tabrej?
Yeah. So I am Tabrej Khan. I head IT at Anand Insurance Broker Limited. So Anand Insurance Broker Limited is one of the first composite insurance broker. So we deal into general insurance, life insurance, reinsurance, all type of insurance. Coming to the fun fact, I mean, most of the points are covered. I think I have a 3-year-old daughter, so I would like to see, with the help of Gen AI, right, how to impress her, keep on impressing her, and have some ideas how to play with her, what new games I can, whatever time I get. So how can I utilize it to the fullest? Thank you.
Payal?
Prachi.
Prachi.
Come on.
Sorry.
Payal is still not here though.
And I'm not wearing one. I hope I'm audible.
Yes.
Yeah. So I'm Prachi Varun, and I'm from Nippon Mutual Fund. We follow you very and compete with you big time. We are they are 5th, we are 4th proudly. So I head the entire B2C digital acquisition at Nippon. my work involves doing a lot of experimentation, and at Nippon we believe to keep trying on new things. We are not scared of failing, but if we have to fail, we intend to fail fast and move on, and with the learnings that we carry from whatever endeavors we are carrying out. Fun fact about Gen AI on how if I had a Gen AI-led virtual assistant, I think I would want that virtual assistant to analyze probably all the conflicting arguments that I have primarily in my personal life, feed me with inputs so that I can win almost all the arguments that happen. Yeah.
Bhupesh?
Yeah, hi everyone, good evening. My name is Bhupesh Bindal. I am part of Piramal Finance. So, Piramal Finance is an NBFC catering to most of the loan products. So, we have recently acquired DHFL. So, now we have around 500 branches in India. Coming to my profile, I manage the customer portals as well as the partner portals. For example, CRM, partner portal, incentive management portals, and Piramal. We are also integrating with our BIU models. We have our own BIU models where we have lot of we have implemented a lot of use cases. For example, email automation, and most of these use cases are on CRM and partner portal. So that is where I come into. We are implementing Gen AI. Regarding the fun fact, what I say is Gen AI should be able to tell me what to eat so that मैं पतला हो जाऊँ, and exercise क्या करना है, and how to manage my time, like सुबह किस time पे क्या करने का है, क्या करने का है.
भूपेश पहला वाला तो नहीं हो गया, left right.
But you're the only one who said that you'll allow Gen AI to tell you what to do and kind of dictate what's the way forward.
क्या खाने का है.
The thing is whether you will follow the recommendations or not.
That's
what
completely
matters.
altogether different. Yeah.
Mousumi?
You can see.
Yeah. Hi everyone. I'm Mousumi Lahiri Roy, and I'm part of the Aditya Birla Capital family. We are a financial conglomerate, and we have a suite of financial products which range from investments, insurance, and of course loans. So at ABC, I handle customer experience and insights for the entire 3.5 crore customer base that we have.
Awesome.
And also a profile of insights along with that. So when you look at AI, it's all pervasive, and today I think each one of us have reached out to AI at various points in time. But when I look at it the personal perspective, I want AI professional mom bot.
Huh?
Yeah, so something which will give me professional guidance here and at home to manage a teenage son. How to make him study without him constantly contradicting me and saying why. You know, his last answer was, what's the point of reading Julius Caesar? What's it going to do for me? Now please give me an answer to that.
I agree with him because I have been tortured with all that.
Everyone is tortured with that.
So many consumer use cases are emerging right here. If somebody is taking notes, there's a startup idea waiting for you, you know. But yeah, clearly AI has a lot of applications that we have in mind. It's maybe not reached the point where it would do all this faultlessly, but the potential is there for it to reach this stage, right? Right now, a lot of the practical applications of AI are happening in workforce productivity, unlocking, you know, spending less time in something that already others are doing, right? And if you're what's also driving the adoption of AI is if you're an organization using AI, maybe you're a little bit more nimble and agile than an organization that is not using AI, right? So in your respective organizations, I'd love to know, some of you are from customer experience background, some of you are from marketing, and some of you are from digital transformation. How are you looking at Gen AI use cases at the organizational level? And what are some of the practical applications that you see being used in the short term, right? Next 2 to 3 years, right? Let's start with you, Preeti, because I think you said that you've hit the ground running with the customer experience function and you are using some of these things.
So, okay. To start with, some of the things which we are using and which we are kind of experimenting with. Number one, we have a very basic CRM in place. So the first thing that we need to have whenever we are looking at GenAI is that we have to have clean data available. So having said that, few things which we actually had to kind of rush and do very quickly because the regulator was closely watching you. Something like for example, we've got our emails. Now emails and all customer interactions which are coming, they have to be tagged correctly, like a query request or a complaint. And the regulator is very, very particular about correct and accurate tagging of your interactions. So while that was happening, it's very easy to review when you are looking at your emails because everything is there. But when it was coming to calls, unless somebody is listening to a call when a review is happening or an audit is happening, or we are giving it to an external agency to kind of review our tagging, then it's hard for them because they have to spend a lot of time listening to each and every call which is coming. That is where we went into a speech to text kind of that was the use case which we are using. So we are trying to be honest, we are trying to develop an in-house model over here. And then we reached out also to somebody. So this is also still under development. Speech to text very important for us because the 2-3 things happen. One is the language barrier. Most of the vendors are not offering you. They are only offering you either Hindi or English. All the other languages are not getting kind of taken care of there. So speech to text is one very important use case that I think GenAI is going to help us with. Primarily it is also going to satisfy the regulator to a very large extent because they are also looking at, RBI now is also looking at where all have you deployed technology so that there's a minimum, all your data has to be system generated, nothing has to be, no manual intervention anywhere. The other kind of use case which we successfully looked at was looking at our email templates. So we have a whole lot of email templates and we found that while we've ourselves sat down and made and drafted those email templates, then we used ChatGPT when it came. And I was amazed at the kind of options ChatGPT was throwing up to us for the email templates. We had about 3-4 and kitne options there, and then you just had to pick up the right one, and each one was better than the other. So to be honest, it has really helped us to get the whole email piece quickly, up and running on. So these are the best use cases which I have currently. Of course, all the chat bots and virtual bots, etc., everybody is aware of them. So these are ones which we've actually gone ahead and used.
That's a wonderful example. I just recollected something, and one of my team members, he used to send me emails, and I used to always correct him that, you have to correct this, etc., etc. And one day he sent me a mail, which is spick and span. So I simply picked up my phone and called him and said, Shashi, what did you do? I said, sir, I have now incorporated ChatGPT into my email. So now automatically everything is taken care of. So
Yes.
I just remembered that from the example that you quoted.
Yeah, because one more thing I just want to share. Initially when we started, we were also looking at Quillbot. वो पूरा अपना email text लो, Quillbot में डालो, उसको correct करो, फिर send it across. The moment we did this ChatGPT thing, everything was so neat, clean, professional. ठीक है, चलो. So that was a good one which I liked.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that.
So coming to you, Prachi,
Thank you.
from
Firstly, he called the name right, so.
so sorry. But from customer experience
Yeah.
point of view to a customer acquisition point of
Yes.
view, right? Gen AI will put out some outputs, but as far as marketing is concerned, you can't get the messaging that you put out there wrong necessarily, right? So do you think you need to put some checks and balances? What kind of use cases are you thinking of piloting on GenAI? How would you put those guardrails around those use cases so that the wrong information is not put out there? Because it's again a regulated and scrutinized industry, right?
Yes.
And what are some of the limitations then in those use cases?
Sure.
Yeah.
So before I move on to answering your question, let me tell you that Nippon has already started leveraging Gen AI. So what we have developed, and this we have developed in-house, is called, we call it Nippon GPT. So we started this with piloting Gen AI, starting with targeting our own internal customers, our employees. And we are making this entire suite learn, and we are training it on our own enterprise assets with our internal documents, so that the customer queries, the internal customer queries, which are related to regulations or HR policies or any other regulatory aspects, compliance aspect, PSTP, which is a very important aspect of anybody working with a mutual fund or an AMC. So all those queries are being fed into, and it is responding. People are using, and people are happy using it. All right. As a second leg or an advancement on this piece, the idea is to introduce the entire marketing suite, and particularly concentrating towards content development. But as you rightly said, it has limitations because we are working in a highly guarded regulatory environment. There are new guidelines coming every now and then, and now we know that we have to do a self-declaration and all that stuff. So all these regulations, while they safeguard the customers to a very large extent, they also limit us to try new things, right? But at the same time, very happy that we have started, although it's still in the very nascent stage, but for scripting our emailers, for example, deciding what should be the subject line if the person is not opening your emails repeatedly, even after targeting him multiple times, or what is the content that you should. So you already have tools and equipments in place to structure your customer audience. You have the propensity models built in, you have the recommendation engines built. But what if the customer is not responding to you? All right. So crafting those content, developing those content is a place where we have already started using it. It's still in the beginning stages. Creative, the creation of the creative, the video content, because you have to keep on posting things on your social handle, and it requires a mass production. While we are not there yet, that is a very promising use case for us. There definitely needs a human intervention, because whatever output I'm getting, I cannot, with Gen AI, there's still an element of hallucination,
Yes.
there's still disclaimers, and you cannot afford to breach that piece if it's not been ethically sourced.
Right.
So you need to have a human intervention who kind of scans through the creative that you're getting through the Gen AI and ensure that it is complying with regulation in every aspect. So that human intervention will not go. But with time, I'm sure this is gonna become better and better and more useful. So creative development, definitely. We also, we do a lot of marketing in vernacular languages. So it's not just vernacular, but also has a regional flavor, whatever communication we develop. So for example, if I'm communicating with a person in Assam, I try to bake in elements of Assam in my creative. So I talk about Muga silk or Pat silk, or whatever, their gamusha. And if I'm talking to somebody from Dehradun, I would like to mention about or talk about Sahasradhara, so that that belongingness to my content increases. So all that we have been managing manually. There's human intelligence. Definitely we would want, AI to come in and prompt it so that the entire turnaround time, the time to market, becomes very, very crucial. I mean, it is very crucial. It becomes helpful to us. We are able to reach out to our customer faster. We are able to get more conversions out of our campaigns. So creative development, definitely there are a lot of multiple use cases. People have started using it, but there is a scope of doing a lot of things. Second piece is definitely, most of us in the BFSI segment, we don't follow that spray and pray model anymore. we have moved on long back to a very targeted mode of communication
Correct.
where we try and pitch a product or a fund or be it an insurance policy, whatever which we think that suits the customer most, and we already have tools in place. We have our propensity and our recommendation engines working, but which one is working better? So I cannot maybe rely completely on Gen AI for giving me those customer cohorts, because again, there are data privacy issues. I cannot pass everything outside the environment, but maybe I can leverage it to suggest which recommendation engine is performing better for me. If I'm doing a campaign and I'm leveraging different media, which media is working for me better so that I can do that entire media budget optimization? So use cases are multiple, when it comes to marketing and reaching out to the customers. And I see that it is gonna just keep on improving with every day.
So just curious to know this GPT model that you have adopted,
Nippon GPT.
where the conversations happen. Is it on your app? Is it on your website? Is it on a conversational
It is on our
channel?
website.
It's on your
It's
website.
on our-
So what is the customer journey then, where if there is some kind of halt in that conversation?
So it's still learning, and
Learning.
there are multiple halts, because the customer, the employee, they just input text in their natural language, and at
Right.
times, because the AI model is being fed on the enterprise data, many a times it is not able to fetch it. It also depends upon which version of AI you are using,
Right.
and how intelligent that AI is, right? And how accurate that AI is. So it is still learning. Most of the time it is able to answer the generic questions and in a very simplified manner. But at times it gets stuck as well.
Interesting. Actually, we also experimented something on the same lines, which is an internal use case with ICICI Bank, which is predominantly on the HR, like you said, the policies.
Yes.
That's something in the works which we are doing, and we are seeing some decent results there. But obviously, the more you feed, there are advantages
Correct.
and disadvantages as well.
Correct.
Because the more you feed, the more knowledge it gets, but also hallucinates more.
That's true.
Right,
That's
so
true.
it's imperative to have those guardrails, so to speak, so that it doesn't go outside. On the website part, we are doing an interesting project with one of the banks, wherein we are actually cannibalizing our own chatbot, which currently sits on the website, but we are giving them a search bar on the website. And on that website, then a consumer, it doesn't have to be necessarily the bank's consumer, can come and search anything related to finance. And then how do we work with the bank to put those enough guardrails so that it still gives the information, but does not give the liability, so to speak, to the bank in case the information is wrong and so on. So that's an
Okay.
interesting one that we have started with one of the banks. Early stages, but that's something that we're trying with them.
Sure. So this is not open to all, whatever we have. This is only for
That I understand.
our
That's an
employees, and it
internal
cannot
one.
be accessed outside the
Absolutely.
organization. So that control is there.
Yeah.
And at times it doesn't give the right answers, but it becomes easy when you just write who's the, for example, branch manager of Baroda, and what are his coordinates, and you get it right there, and it's much easier to reach out. Just a simple use case there.
Absolutely, yeah.
So it becomes the life of employees a little more simpler.
Correct.
If a person is on a notice period or wants to put down the paper and is reluctant to reach out to HR and ask about the policies, he can just put on the query on the GPT and get all the answers. So yeah.
Great.
So that's what I wanted to talk about, Mousumi, is that the customer journey is very interesting, right? You had conversational experiences being implemented by all brands for the last 2-3 years. What happens? And first it used to be a templatized flow. Now it's a conversation. You maybe have a Gen AI behind the chatbot, and maybe you have a more conversational journey. What level of complexity is are you implementing Gen AI? First of all, I don't want to jump the gun. What level of complexity is that chatbot able to handle? And if there is a halt in that conversation, how does it seamlessly get picked up by a human agent? If you can share some light on that.
So, firstly, when we looked at online reputation management, what comes to mind today is real-time responses. It's not going to be okay to have responses go in the traditional mode. I'll get back to you in a tat of 2 to 3 days. That's going to be mayhem on the social media, right? Yeah. So there's some way we have to respond promptly. And like you mentioned, Prachi, that the guardrails become extremely important. I have a team that is constantly real-time responding to customers. Now, if I don't empower them with a knowledge management system, because as I mentioned, it's 6 lines of business, 6 complex financial services business with 9 contact agents who are going to be able to respond to it. How much do you expect with an attrition of within 6 months to a year? You need to empower them with some information which they can reach out to, and that's where we have within institutional bot we've put in the knowledge such that it is a search option. It can be like I want to know about nomination. Then the moment you type in nomination for life insurance, it's going to be different. For AMC, it'll be different. So therefore, it's very important to provide that information to the agent there and then. Otherwise, it's going to be, if it's a little complex, I have to go to my manager, and that causes the delay. So we've started it out. Plus, there's complexity in terms of escalation matrix. Where will it go? Where will it rest? What about the followership of that customer base? Because, whether the customer has a huge amount of followers or whether he's irate, the sentiment that he's operating in, all of that goes in to determine what should be your call to action in this case. And therefore, we found merit in using this, and we are still in the process of fine-tuning it. Nothing comes out of the box and it's perfect, right? So you're fine-tuning it in terms of inputs where it's gone wrong on sentiment, where it's, like you said, hallucination, that, I would have made a snarky comment, but that comment is not being taken in the right context. So those things are getting fixed. So in ORM, I see a huge amount of opportunity, and we're also looking at a seamless experience. We are multi-channel, okay? We've got multiple channels. Go to any financial institution, they'll give you WhatsApp, chatbot, website, all assets are there. But are they talking to each other? That's the battle we're fighting.
Most critical,
Yeah.
yes.
So that's the battle we are fighting. If I drop off today in the midst of, I'm struggling to get my policy account statement, and I drop off because of whatever reasons, then I again go back to the IVR, go through that 2-minute menu card, then go and speak to a contact center agent where I start describing my whole problem all over again. I've lost 5 minutes, I'm frustrated. So that is the experience bit we are designing now, to say that how do I make it seamless that where you left off is where I pick you up. And can I do it and an automation put in where if I've dropped off, then call me back. Don't expect me to call back. It's pretty simple in that sense that it's proactive. It's got to be proactive, because the customer is not waiting around by the time you call back, or by the time he again manages to get through the toll-free number to a human agent, which is, I think today's day, everyone's got an IVR. So, right, we have our menu card options, right? 1, 2, 3, X. By the time he figures it out and reaches to a contact center agent, quite frustrating. And I think all of us in this room will agree, it is a point of frustration. So how do we circumvent that for the IVR bot to be able to assess, I want a policy account statement for the last 5 years. That is never there in a menu card option, isn't it? It's always financial year, last financial year. So in such situation, take him to a contact center agent. If it's out of, like you mentioned, if it is not queries which are simple, that is straight through processes, then the bot is handling it. But if it is a complex query, right now, we will have to hand over to a contact center agent to be able to ensure a seamless closure, because that won't happen instantly. That needs to get communicated that we will need that 2 days time, or we will need that 3 days time to be able to come back to you. So those are the kind of challenges we are managing in the current scenario. Long road to travel, but I think service is a space where bot is going to make a huge impact, especially from the knowledge management system. If your agents are empowered with knowledge, then they can give you the right response instead of the customer bouncing from one channel to another.
Right.
Agree. I mean, I think some of the brilliant examples that you gave, some things that came to my mind instantly. One is, how do you sort of maintain the context if, let's say, a customer gets dropped off? Maybe he gets dropped off on voice, but the next conversation he's trying to initiate with you over WhatsApp, right? So how do I sort of carry that context which was lost on a voice call, or his bot call or a voice call, to the WhatsApp? That's one of the brilliant things that you mentioned, so that the customer feels, hey, look, whatever I spoke so far, I didn't have to repeat that, irrespective of me changing the channel, so to speak, in between, right? But there, the only difference is probably the journeys don't have to be only multi-channel, they have to be omni-channel, right? Because then, you can pick up the thread from where we have dropped, so to speak. That's number one that you mentioned, which is an interesting use case. And second was what I was talking about in brief in the beginning, is something that we call as conversational context platform, right? Wherein we are able to seamlessly pass context from one channel to another, irrespective of wherever the customer got dropped, so to speak. So, thank you so much for sharing that. I think we can do some brainstorming and pass on some, ideas in terms of how we are helping different enterprises to do that. One of the examples that comes to my mind is HDFC Bank. Actually, we do the entire collections of HDFC Bank is something that we run. They have close to 4,000 agents who sit in a contact center, which is a central contact centers, 4 regions is what they do the collections on. And then they have about 50,000 feet on street who do the door-to-door collections. Now the problem that we solved for them was, how do we pass on the context of that contact center agent to that guy who's on the field, right? So a contact center agent, let's say Lalit, has reached out to a customer. There is a P2P which has come in, but how do I pass it on to the guy who's probably on the road? Or there is a customer who's a credit card customer as well as a housing loan customer, right? He has paid one installment, but the second is missed. So how do I sort of empathize with that customer so that I know that he has an intent to pay, but probably he has missed because of a different reason, right? So how do we sort of carry that context from a centralized contact center agent to a feet on street, so that at any given point in time he says, there was 3 WhatsApp messages sent to this customer responded that this is my P2P, then there was an SMS sent, there was no response to that, there was a contact center agent who reached out on so-and-so date, customer spoke so-and-so. All that is where we're using GenAI to sort of orchestrate this entire summary and to have that available with that feet on street guy, so that even before he sort of does a call and meets an appointment, he says, sir, I understand that you have paid one installment, second is due, which you are due late by, let's say, 3 days. Is there anything else? Do you want to change your P2P, and so on and so forth? So that's like was mentioned in the beginning, to sort of carry that entire context from one channel to another, or intermix between channels, is something that we are solving. I would not say have solved, I'm being honest. We are solving for some large enterprises, but happy to connect with you to figure out how we can find synergies there.
Yeah,
Thank you.
the second use case that you were telling, for this the customers, so it has to be proactive instead of reactive. So we have implemented this thing through generative AI, because we mostly have self-employed customers and our customer base is not that good, since we are not a bank and we are a new financial institution. So what we saw that a lot of customers, so earlier we used to give second as the EMI date, but then we realized that it is not for all the customers. Some customers have their payments coming on 5th or 8th. Now proactively, we through GenAI, we have implemented a model where we get to know that for this customer we need to put second as the EMI date, or for this customer 10th or 12th. So this is what we have implemented.
Awesome.
And this knowledge assist use case for our outbound and inbound agents, we have implemented the same. It is in closed user group, but we are getting a good response on this also. So we have a knowledge base that is created on CRM. So we have created a pipeline with my database where my BIU team is working, and we have a bot. So bot is open to my agents, and they can type like customer is asking for foreclosure, what to do, customer is asking for charges waiver, or any complex use case. So this we are doing. And but what I see is, when the use case is simple, generative AI is helping us, but when the use case is very complex, then as of now it is very difficult.
Yeah, but I think there is another question in that question. If the use case is simple, do I really need to hit an LLM? I don't think so, right? I mean, it can be simply answered by a normal chatbot. Why do I have the need to go to an LLM to ask a simple answer?
No, but
That's
but-
cost also, I mean,
Yeah.
for enterprises at the end of the day.
If I'm telling about simple, like simple use case mean to say searching in a
Oh,
knowledge database and
Understood.
getting the answer. But complex use case is speech to text. So
Yes.
when I am talking to customer, at the same time I am responding to that customer, and my virtual agent is giving me inputs to
Snippets.
answer that question.
Snippets,
Snippets
yes.
to answer that. So that is a very complex use case, and that is very difficult. Nobody in Indian banking space has cracked that, I suppose.
not yet.
Not yet.
Not yet.
So that is a complex use case. Then second is that we have discussed earlier also, which is credit. Like how can I generate the credit memo? So that is also a very difficult use case.
Interesting use cases to solve. I think I'll also go back to what Preeti had mentioned in the beginning. Basically, one of the use cases that we see today also is that there is and we are a compliant in this industry at the end of the day, right? Either it is SEBI or RBI or IRDA, right? How do you sort of, because the audits don't happen, audits always happen on a sample, right? That is always a challenge in the industry, right? So that we also saw as an industry challenge. So what we did is we have a now GenAI based automated tool, what we call as a conversation quality analyst, which actually sort of audits 100% of the calls, right? And it captures the sentiment, it captures the mood, it gives a scoring also depending on what is the KPI that you have defined. For example, there are 5 things you defined. There should have been a greeting, there should have been a closure, there should have been sending of a FD loan, whatever that KPI is, right? It sort of scores the agent on that, right? And then it becomes easier for the auditors to sort of pick up only the anomalies and then train the data set based on that, right? And it also obviously keeps learning on its own the more you keep feeding it, right? So absolutely, I think we should discuss more in terms of understanding how we can work. What we also do is something called as a co-creation. We have a team called as co-creation, which basically means the products or the solutions that we do not have in-house, we work with our engineering team, works with your engineering team to figure out as to how we can co-create a solution with you. So we can really figure out as to how do we join hands in that.
Sure.
So welcome, Payal. Thank you for joining us. If you could just share a little bit about yourself, what you do at Motilal Oswal, and we can go on from there.
Hi everyone, good evening. Sorry for being late. So I lead the digital initiatives for all the non-trading platform. Motilal Oswal is a stockbroking house, and we have non-trading platforms which are CRMs and B2B platforms. B2B platforms would be franchisee platforms. We have business partners, and there are certain other platforms which the advisors use. So those kind of platforms, the telephony of course, yes, is with me as well. So I have a team which works on specific platforms from that perspective.
Fantastic.
Payal is very humble. She does a lot, but she doesn't talk about that much. Though MOSL is our existing customer, but Payal and I only meet in the events like Ananth. You and I also meet in all the events, being known to each other for decades or more. But once again, Payal, welcome.
Thank you.
So the conversation at this point is that you have introduced some form of Gen AI as an additional touch point to engage your customers, as a way to kind of make the conversational journey more seamless, or for online reputation management, right? Or to increase the workflow productivity, or to take notes during meetings and kind of ensure the compliance is adhered to, right? Ananth would love to know, Ananth, Tabrej and Bhupesh, right? From the larger digital transformation agenda, is Gen AI on that agenda? And then if it is there on that agenda, what are the 1, 2, 3 very clear applications that you see that you would go to your CEO and say, okay, this is what you'd accomplish? And what are the good to haves? What do you think can be some of the experimental use cases that you see? So maybe Ananth, we can go, and then Tabrej, and then Bhupesh.
Yeah, I think we have moved on a little beyond experimentation. Honestly, I think content is a very basic thing. I keep telling people that, start with content. That's the easiest thing that you can start off with. You have so much of data in your organization. There's so much of information already lying there. Why don't you start using that to bring your AI use cases? Typically, when you mentioned about the website search, why should an investor come and search for something?
Absolutely.
And suppose he's asking for, hey, what is the 5-year CAGR for a particular scheme? I mean, I don't want to give him a set of URLs and he goes and clicks there and stuff like that. All this document is there in my fact sheet, right? Which is already there in the. It's very simple for the platform to go and pick it up and kind of
Throw the
it out
answer
on,
back,
on the answer back. What we are trying to do is like typically, suppose again, it's more to do with customer service. Finally, is the key. We believe that top of the agenda, if you want to use GenAI cases, use it on customer service and of course internal efficiency operations. That is anyway there. If a customer today is writing to me on a mail and is asking for any specific standard information, that hey, I want to change my address, I want to put in a nominee. I mean, these things I don't want an agent to kind of respond back, right? I mean, or even if he's just asking about some basic holdings, I just want to know what was my last investment happened, what was my transaction. I mean, these are all no-brainers, I feel, where you can simply, because, so whatever data that I am going to run on is in my premise, okay? And today, a lot of these hyperscalers who also have the LLMs at the back end, quite a few of them are now in India. So the regulatory piece is being taken care of, okay, as I speak. I mean, you have LLMs running in the India, in the Mumbai region, so you need not worry about data localization issues and stuff like that. Data will be, and you are not going to adulterate your data with anything, any external, because when I run these on my own LLMs, there is no way that there's going to be data coming in from outside and hallucinating, creating hallucinations. So those worries are definitely not there. All this information, so even in my own product, like my product teams, they were already wanting to use OpenAI. I said, hey, hold on, I cannot let corporate data go out. So we implemented Copilot for all of them. So we were anyway there on O365. So it was a matter of just adding licenses, and they have seen some fantastic use cases where they're able to generate whatever they want with their own data. So Copilot gives you the option of, whether you want data from the web or corporate, and it integrates with every single, whether it's your mail, whether it's your, PPTs, and I mean, it's absolutely a powerful tool that you can use. Having said that, like typically if a customer writes, what happens is instead of giving a standard response, hey, thanks for writing to me, this is your ticket, I will come back and stuff. Why can't I make it more, personalized response back to him? Understand as basis whatever he has asked for earlier, what he might be seeking in. So these are all the things that we are trying to kind of getting done at our organization. The document repository is very much part of it, where, as Prachi mentioned, there's tons of circulars that the regulator issues, and if I want to kind of search for a particular, clause of a particular circular, I don't have to go to the folder and select and take out information, right? I just need to ask, hey, do something that came out, to throw it out. These are all pretty simple use cases, and the platforms that we're building, we're also trying to ensure that the user also knows the consumption of these. See, everything is the cost, right? The point that when you send data out to the LLM, it's going to convert it into a token. You're going to be charged for those tokens. So you have to be very careful as to what is the consumption going to be. If you simply upload a large video, you're going to end up with a fat bill at the end of the day. So you have to be very careful. So the user needs to know what is the consumption model that he's doing. Yes, there are multiple LLMs. There could be a Bedrock of AWS, or there could be even a smaller one like Jumpstart. So it depends on what use case you need to have to write on those,
LLMs.
So these are all the things that we have been trying to work on, and definitely customer service, the TATs are the largest on the agenda to begin with.
So Copilot is something you mentioned, but that is something that is embedded in your OS.
It's part of my O365. That's an additional license. Nothing. Microsoft doesn't give anything free of cost. Right. So we are not giving it to all because there's licensing cost to it, and we don't expect across the organization people to understand and use that, right? So it's very specific. Like for my research teams, right, my analysts who are picking up stocks, what they were doing is like when they were getting reports of specific stock from 5 different agencies, they would have to compare that, So if I'm picking up a Reliance Industries stock, right? If there is an analyst report by 5 different stockbrokers, I mean, which one? I would like to analyze, compare. Okay, what is the difference in these 4-5 reports, and take out, save as an Excel and stuff like that. All that is possible today with. So it's given to very niche people right now who understand how to use these platforms and make more value out of it. Yeah.
That's very interesting. To wield a tool like Gen AI, you have to be somewhat smarter than the tool itself, right?
Absolutely.
Tabrej, would love to know from your point of view. Of course, productivity and helping you kind of cut through the clutter is a clear application of Gen AI. But do you also see applications of Gen AI in enterprise applications that are customer facing, as well as part of your larger contact center framework or whatever? How do you see Gen AI playing a role in that journey?
So at Anand Insurance Broker, we are at an experimenting stage on Gen AI. So like Mr. Anand mentioned about Copilot, we are also experimenting with Copilot. We have taken 2 or 3 licenses just to explore the use cases that we have thought of, whether it will work or it will not work. So with my experience that I had with Copilot, so it's not 100% there. Still there are a lot of learning required in Copilot, lot of improvement needed, still evolving. So I'm expecting at least in 6 months or 1 year time, it should be there, almost close. But right now it is not there with the use cases that we have experimented. So for example, if I want to compare, so we were experimenting a use case for an accounts team. So what accounts team does is they take data, they get a raw data, then they create something in another Excel, then they create a pivot from another Excel. All those things they do. So what we try to, can we use Copilot for that? It's just a prompt. I just need to give a prompt, fetch the data from this Excel, paste in the another Excel, and then create this pivot and done. Yeah. But the limitation in Copilot was it works only on one Excel, the active table that you have opened. It does not allow you to upload 2 different Excel. Whereas when I checked in ChatGPT Plus, the subscription model, so it does. It allows more than one attachment. So I was really taken aback. I thought Microsoft must have taken OpenAI and using the same platform. So if I am paying license to Copilot, so ideally the same feature which is there on ChatGPT should also be there. But somehow it's not there, so which I'll take it up with Microsoft just to understand that.
For which they will charge you additional money, I guess.
So that's the reason I checked with them. They said Copilot Studio. Then I went into Copilot Studio. Then there are a lot of improvement required. So the other use cases, the low-hanging fruit use cases are like content writing. For marketing is very easy, right? Content writing. But again, we cannot 100% rely on whatever content it has created. There has to be proofreading, even in email, content writing. Because in Copilot, what it does is, even if I want to reply to someone, it gives me the prompt. This is what you can reply. Already sentences are there, paragraph is there. I just need to check whether it is relevant, what modification I need to do, I can reply. So that is a good part that Copilot does for Outlook in the email part. It also summarizes. The one good thing that Copilot or ChatGPT does is summarizing whatever content you have uploaded. You upload a PDF, it gives a summary. If there are threads of email chain going on, I don't have to scroll down at the bottom and then understand myself what is happening. I'll just prompt to summarize me what is happening in this email. It will give me that, right? So those are the low-hanging fruit. Then creating a PPT. So it really helps in creating a PowerPoint presentation. So those are the small use cases which we are working on. So even in PPT also, it does create. In fact, I have seen in Microsoft PowerPoint itself, we have an option called a designer. So I don't have to take Copilot for that. In fact, designer gives suggestion of the UI, pictures, images, in fact, videos are added. So there are many features within Microsoft Suite. Instead of going to Copilot, I can use those, like Power Automate is one of the options. I can automate the workflow using Power Automate. I don't have to use Copilot for that. So these are the things which we are comparing just to make a wise decision whether to go with Copilot, full-fledged, or whatever is available in Microsoft Suite. If that suffices my requirement of the use cases, then why should I invest in the license part? The other use case that we are thinking about is for HR, like screening of resumes. You get so many resumes, right? And then based on the job description, if AI can help me and just filter it out and give me, say, score, saying that these are the top 10 most relevant, instead of rejecting, it will just score, right? Okay, these are the top 10 relevant as per the job description. Then the HR can then contact those. So this is one which we are still experimenting. We are not successful yet. And yeah, so that's the journey we are going on.
So I keep telling people, that you need to understand the difference between what is RPA and what is AI. there are two different aspects. So use automation wherever that's required and use AI. There are two different paradigms actually.
Absolutely.
In fact, one thing that I am expecting from Gen AI, what it does best is obviously hyper personalization, right? Instead of replying standard replies or in chatbot also having, like you said, template replies.
Yeah, natural
right?
language
So
replies.
personalization. So
Yeah.
even in grievance, if somebody writes grievance, right, to our grievance email ID, somebody has written something as sentence, it should be able to understand the sentiments, right? What it is, and accordingly give the person who is replying to that customer, right? This should be the prompt. This is what you should be writing. This is the language you should be using.
Yeah.
I think these are few use cases which will really help.
Thanks, Tabrej. Actually, why I noted down this is because this use case is live for us in ICICI Bank itself,
Which one?
wherein our voice bot is screening the resumes
Okay.
automatically, and only the selected resumes go then to the HR team for them to call back and assign the interview. So we'll probably exchange some notes on that. We in fact have designed something for them which is we call as a step as a program. They earlier had actually more than 200 plus vendors who used to conduct these tests for them before they could hire the candidates. We have completely automated that for them, and today it happens overall, everything happens online for them. And one of the initiatives of that was, the first one was to screen the resumes. Currently we are doing it using a voice bot which we have deployed for them. So we'll probably exchange some notes and discuss as to how
One
we
more
can help.
good use case is for in terms of developers, like coding, then checking the vulnerability, like VAPT testing, we have a different team. So before giving it to the VAPT team, the developer themselves can validate whether there are any vulnerabilities with the help of GenAI.
GenAI, correct.
So that is also one.
I think Anil, who's our CTO, is also working on that. We'll check with him, and I can probably have a call done between the both of you to figure out if there is some notes that you guys can exchange.
Sure. Thanks.
So Bhupesh, I think you already mentioned that you are using automation in your email marketing, in your some applications you're using,
classifications,
right?
yes.
How do you look at transforming the customer journey in terms of automation? Is it still a large number of human agents that are required to convert that customer? Because in the loan segment, I believe a lot of repetitive, certain queries like what is the interest rate or what is the span I have to pay it. You might be facing a lot of repetitive stuff. And since a lot of people are using AI to screen queries, how do you see it managing that workload at that end?
Yeah, so specifically talking about service journeys, as someone rightly said, that it is not always about generative AI. It is about the automation. It is mainly omni-channel. So if you are talking about the simplest use cases, knowing the balance or knowing the account or getting the account statement, or it can be what is my EMI. So these can be, so first thing is we should be able to provide these details in all the channels. That can be, if a customer is coming to me on website, he can be able to write in a bot, and I as a bank should be able to answer. Second is, if a customer is coming to me on WhatsApp, the same experience should be there on WhatsApp. Third is, if a customer is if customer is going on my mobile app, it should be able to render it. And then if customer is not satisfied, then he can be able to call on my number, and IVR should be telling him this thing. And if customer is not then satisfied, then it should go to agent. It can decrease my volume. This is first. Second is, if customer is asking on an email that what is my balance, the first thing is I should be able to classify it. That needs a Gen AI or AI aspect to it. So which is classification of categories, subcategories, and type, whether it's a query, whether it's a request, or whether it's a complaint. So we have automated this. In complaints, we were not able to see good results. In requests, my confidence level is more than 80%. In queries, it is more than 90%. But in complaints, we are not able to automate it.
Okay.
And then, so this is the first thing, which is figuring the which is getting the classification right. and then sending the response. So sending the customer response about the document. This is your document, or this is your account balance, this is your EMI, and this is the EMI deduction date. Does not need AI. It is just my system will get an information, it will make a query or API call and fetch the details from the core system and send it to customer. So everything is not, Gen AI is not needed in everything.
Right.
Some of the use case we can simplify. Second thing is, if we are using generative AI to generate email responses, that is also very difficult to go live with, because generative AI will draft a response that has to be seen by someone, and then you will click on reply and then it will reply. So the agent time is wasted there also. So now, earlier he or she used to write the email. Now he or she is checking one line, second line, third line, and then typing on reply. So it will not save time. So we need to see like if it is reducing my efforts or not. Because in this scenario, though I am using the generative AI, but it is not reducing my efforts. So in that sense, we should be very particular about how we are using. So it is like in digital transformation also, we need to particularly see which use case can be solved by which thing.
Right.
So that is very important.
Absolutely. There are use cases where maybe Gen AI is not moving the needle in
Yeah.
terms of that additional.
So when I discuss
cost
this with my
optimization.
CXOs, with my chief operating officer, he just told me, कि यार ये अगर if I need my agent to see the whole email that is going to be sent to customer, then what is the benefit in doing this?
But any particular challenges you see? You said Gen AI is not able to answer complaints adequately up to
Yeah,
the
because
mark, right?
because getting the intent of complaint is very difficult.
Difficult. Okay.
And we have also implemented, like, if a customer is coming to me, what should be the next best action that I can propose? Whether if the customer, it is not proper, typically a AI use case, it also has an element of understanding and mining the data.
Okay.
So if the customer has not downloaded mobile app, I should be telling my agent that ask customer to download the mobile app, or ask customer or tell customer about offers that he has.
Okay.
I'd just like to add a few points on what you just mentioned. I think what you rightly said about the agents saving of time, that is absolutely right.
Yeah.
In my view, I think what you can probably achieve is the accuracy or consistency of information. So what happens is, if you have a 50-member team,
Yeah.
and there would be some people who are new in the team, while others may be old or experienced. There would be some who are SMEs. So one, it can help you in classification of emails. So
Classification
you
is
know,
already done,
with
yeah.
the passing of emails, that okay, these are easy ones, can go to the new joinees and they can do good with it. And also, if it's a new joinee who's got a difficult case, with the help of AI, at least he doesn't have to think of what to answer, because it could be knowledge gap, it could be he or she is in the learning phase. So I think consistency or uniform service can be achieved with this.
Yeah. So that can be classified, like what should be for new set of agents,
Right.
how we should be taking it ahead, and for
Right.
older set of
Right.
customers. Yeah.
Right.
In fact, if you summarize both the conversations, I think one of the industry-wide problem that we face today is attrition,
Yeah.
right? I mean, people churn like nobody's business today. So if you can use Gen AI in terms of giving that live agent assist, so the training, retraining, the amount of cost obviously will not become zero. But I think it can be significantly reduced by providing that live agent assist, right? Because as we know, I mean, people are coming, people are going. Half of the time is spent in the classrooms to train them about the products, train them about what to pitch, how to pitch, and so on and so forth, right? If those responses can be generated live and given to the agent, I think that helps experience, that saves time, because time is cost for you guys, right? There is infra occupied, everything is there, right? So I think that also in my mind comes across as a brilliant use case across industries actually, but particularly for us as well.
Yeah, and if I want to add a point here, Earlier, I've been part of this journey of service. So I remember we used to make multiple templates.
Yeah,
I don't
yeah.
know-
Yeah, we
absolutely.
have
Yeah,
still,
so,
we still
you
have
know,
a lot
which
of templates.
template, which one will you play? Now think of a kid, yeah, he's just joined straight out of college or straight out, and you're telling him, so no, ये financial problem आएगा तो you take template 1, then template A, V, 2. वो बेचारा
Yeah,
मतलब end of the day he's confused.
Yeah,
He's just straight out there. Maybe he was in a call center somewhere else. Now he's moved into a financial services call center. Anyway, we are a complex industry. Then you want that kid to be able to pick up the right template, plug, play, and be perfect. I think it solved a lot of that problem
Yeah,
today.
Correct.
So, without doubt.
Absolutely.
100% in
Yeah.
agreement. there.
Providing that optionality to your agent or to
Yeah.
your last mile, that is something that GenAI can definitely do. Payal, want to talk about another interesting, by the way, Narendra, welcome. Thank you for joining us. As you can see, this conversation is well into its, topic of how GenAI can be used not just to improve productivity internally in the organization, but also as a customer-facing thing. Just if you would want to share a little bit about.
Yeah. So I was talking about, since we talked email bot, so it's use of Gen AI now for email bot, but we implemented email bot almost 4 or 5 years back, and Mousumi is aware about that because we did it in Aditya Birla Capital. I was in Aditya Birla Capital. So I think when we started with the bot part, so it depends lots of things how you train it. So our lots of time, almost 6 months has gone into just training the bot itself. But once the bot is trained, so then it has started giving a awesome awesome productivity improvement. When I'm saying awesome means initially our accuracy level used to be 50-55%, but once we touched almost 80-85% accuracy, so which means all the emails which were coming to us at that point of time, the response was completely ready, and it is so at that point the problem used to be in training that one. So which was the biggest problem for us, because you have a huge lots of data, and then we were struggling that each and every time just almost 2 or 3 developers were involved in just training the bot. So that was the problem. But once this Gen AI has come, so that has solved a lot of problem, because that training is already done. So that natural language which is coming from the email, now bot is able to understand. So that whole training part from 6 months when we deployed this, so for the different company, I am now in the different company. So when the whole training time got reduced to 15 days. And this I am talking about the generic language. I am not saying that if some customer is irritated, customer is saying I want account statement, why it has not come, why I have complained 3 to 4 times, and so on. So such kind of things bot is able to understand, read, and then able to generate the response. Now the key thing is user needs to, still we have not made the automated responses, but the key thing is as soon as we figure it out, the changes done in the emails are very few. We will be in a position for certain type of mails to do an automation. So which I think Payal was also mentioning, that it will help in terms of accuracy. And so at least the earlier I used to select the template, that has gone away almost 4 or 5 years before. Here now the mail is ready. Soon that will also go away as soon as the accuracy will get improved. So that is the part on email bot. Another interesting experience I would like to share is which we are planning right now for the lead generations. Currently, I am in education loan lending business. So in education lending business, what happens? The person who comes for taking the loan, these are the students, and these guys are first time interacting with the financial services. Even earlier they have not gone, they have maximum gone only for bank account, and even their bank accounts is opened by their parents, they only go to withdraw the money. So this is the first time they come for the bank, to the banks or
for a loan, so to speak.
For the loans, and then loan is also education loan, which is a very complicated, which is something different, not available in industry. I mean personal loan, lots of variety available. Home loan, they are aware because parents would have taken, but education loan, no. So at that point of time, one of the requirement to the student is they have lots of queries, and not in terms of loan processing, but in terms of when they are taking education loan, what else can be there? What are the documents that could be needed, and how taking an education loan from company 1 versus company B, and why? They also need to understand How, because we primarily focus more on the abroad foreign loans, students who are going abroad for the foreign studies, so they have lots of queries. How the first disbursement is going to happen, second disbursement is going to happen, what are the documents they need to have, what is the visa process, how company can help in the visa process, how forex will be done, what is the travel card, what is the insurance, so all these queries. And at that point of time, if they have someone upfront available, which is 24/7, not an agent dependent, not language dependent, that solution is available upfront, I think that is going to be a good puller for the organization. That is the piece which we are trying to crack. So that rather than asking their mobile number, email, give us, we will call you back, rather than solve their problem upfront. Some top queries, solve them upfront and in their own languages, which I think chatbot used to be the thing, but now why to do chatbot? Let's use the directly trained model who can directly understand the language which is coming from customer and respond according to the things which the customer asks. I think that is the case which we are trying right now to crack for lead generation part. And I think customer servicing, people have already talked, so there is no, I think, second thought for the customer servicing.
Thanks, Anand. And on what channels are you trying to get these consumers to talk to you?
Right now on direct channel.
Which is a phone call or a website, or how do you?
Website. Right now direct channel, penetration of direct channel is low, but yeah, we will subsequently move once it is more trained.
Great. Thank you so
And
much.
secondly, once it is there, then we will definitely bring on WhatsApp. Currently, WhatsApp is more for servicing. We'll see how it can be used for lead.
That actually brings me to an interesting question, and I'm sorry if what is the channel that you believe as enterprises is the most intrusive one today? I mean, where are the customers most responsive? Because what we are also seeing from an experience perspective, because I think those days are gone when you could pull the customer to where you are. I think today is we as an enterprise trying to be where the customer is.
Yeah.
Right? And I hope we are in sync with that. So, I mean, if I could just hear from each one of you as to where is the most that you see a customer talking to you, on what channels?
Yeah. So definitely it is WhatsApp. So I have seen a lot of use cases. So first use case I want to mention is collections use case. So collections, we try to get to the customers who have not paid the EMIs. So when we did it through mobile app, the result were not so good. When we did it through SMSs,
वो तो कोई पढ़ता नहीं आजकल SMS, unless it's an OTP, something for a
tried it
transaction.
through WhatsApp.
And that also
We
automatically
got
gets
fantastic
fetched.
response. We got fantastic response.
I think there is a reason also for that, because specifically, and it is human psychology in my mind, that as a human, I don't want to be talking to somebody when it comes to collections. Right? So WhatsApp is non-intrusive in that sense, right? It comes as a message, I can ping, it can give me a link, I can pay. So it's my repute, so to speak, right? So I also believe that a non-intrusive channel in a use case like collection, it's the best one.
And also for some of we are trying for some of the customers who are approved but not disbursed. So for those customers also we are like sending WhatsApp nudges, and we are trying that. So we have not seen the success in that. We have just like deployed that use case. So we are in process of seeing that.
But I'd like to bring Ishaan here. Do you see the same? Because yours is a high frequency category, the customer engagement is more often,
So,
right?
one thing I want to add on this is I'll just be a devil's advocate over here, because seeing the WhatsApp is one thing is an expensive channel to have in any communication.
Agree.
Sending it across,
100%
right?
agree. Yeah.
Like I think if you're sending an SMS, it's around 13 paise or something, whereas it goes 5x the cost for sending something on a WhatsApp. So I think
So that is why they increased the price. Earlier it used to be 30 paisa.
Okay.
Now they have, I think, skyrocketed.
Yeah, that's what.
And the conversation used to be free. Within 24 hours, I think they have
Now
put
it's
their
69
terms.
paisa, right?
So it depends if what
This
kind of
this
SMS also you're
enterprise
sending
solution
in.
is always more expensive than your normal.
Yeah.
Right. So just to cover that point, it's better that there are some people who want to keep that also don't want to enter someone's privacy, right? If I'm getting most of my chats, people have two phones just because they want to keep their work and life all very separate. That's also if even WhatsApp has started with something called channels, communities, which separate from now. Even the groups have been segregated from personal chats.
Correct.
Right? Because they want to keep those lives very different. Where I see many people raising their grievances is on Twitter, that's X. Right now, even Elon Musk just around last week or something just spoke about how XAI is also going to take a very different and paradigm shift on how they'll be dealing with things, because he wants to make it into as a super app what he envisions it to be in. So that's one channel where I feel that X can add to values, where because most of the grievances, be it an AMC grievance or an insurance grievance, are being raised on these platforms, and they directly tag the CEO or
Yeah, that's from a grievance perspective, because when I'm in pain,
Yeah.
I want the world to know
World to
and
know
the brand
about
to
it.
sort of respond immediately to me. But if I come back to the question, where do you see your customers most responsive to you outside of complaints and grievances?
So if you see that, obviously, because I think most of them have their WhatsApp, right? I think everyone in India has WhatsApp, but if somewhere if it gets too intrusive, it's only when I want to okay, I have some problem, I'll raise it over there, it's fine. You get like Zeptos or like Uber SMS every day, promotional SMS, but they also are not spamming you, because once you do that, they'll start blocking you. The enterprise doesn't want that also to happen, because if many people are blocking you, then it also sends a wrong signal.
Correct.
So that's also one thing is there. But yes, to answer that, I think it's still the default choice is to have a WhatsApp as a channel of it where it can
Because I think Meta also did a very smart thing in between, and we didn't even realize as enterprises when they did, the consent became implicit, right? So only if you want to opt out, you have to mention that now. Otherwise, by default, it is assumed that you have given the consent.
Yeah, so the DND scrubbing is something which is they have taken a predetermined consent on.
Correct.
So this they did when WhatsApp was acquired by Meta.
Opt-ins, we did that, right?
So we were
En
struggling.
masse.
Yeah, for us, we were together in Indian
Yes.
Capital, so we were struggling in doing a exclusive WhatsApp opt-in. That used to be a kind of thing, but once Facebook Meta has acquired it, it's like they opened it like floodgates, and they want to make money. Earlier, WhatsApp, the whole thought was different of WhatsApp.
I agree.
But it'll be interesting to see once DPDP comes in,
Yes.
the rules come in, how all these channels are going to kind of change.
So I also think that there are certain challenges with WhatsApp also in the enterprise solution, where you're not able to create groups for your customers. So if you want to send one particular message, you really have to send it to multiple people one by one.
But that's
You
how they
can't-
make money, right?
That is their model.
And the most painful is that the first template on an enterprise model has to be a template, the first message. It cannot just be a free text. You can't just say, hello sir, how are you, I am so and so. It has to be a template message, and once the customer responds, only then can you free text and you can write what you want. So here again the problem is that in your template you can't really write that, sir, do reply on this message. You will send the template, the customer will see it, you will see 2 blue ticks, but then he doesn't reply back. So after 1 hour or 2 hours again you have to send a template message. You don't have an option to free write or free text something. So those are some of the challenges with that channel also, because
I agree. I think to overcome that, I think they are also now starting off with WhatsApp calling. It is still pending regulatory, but we did an industry first use case with RBL actually, but for their NRI customers. So today, for all their NRI customers, they are allowed to get the OTP on WhatsApp.
okay,
Not an SMS, but only for NRI customers.
right.
So that's an industry first use case that we implemented for RBL Bank, but only for NRI customers. But I think they're opening up. See, at the end of the day, Meta, they know that they are the only ones at the end of the day, and every human being today on the earth gets up in the morning and the first thing he or she checks is a WhatsApp.
Correct.
Right? So they are leveraging that like nobody's business.
I'll just share my experience with WhatsApp. I mean, that is what everyone prefers. When I was a part of insurance company, so the biggest challenge was renewals.
Mhm.
Okay, so then what we thought, again, in case of WhatsApp, another challenge is the numbers. The contact number, many of them don't share their personal number, they share agent's number, or the number that they have shared does not have WhatsApp, right? But wherever there is WhatsApp, so acceptance is high. So our renewal person, so what we did was we generated a workflow in WhatsApp, WhatsApp bot, business API. We use that, and that complete journey from renewal message, from message of that your policy is due for renewal, please message whether you want to renew now or after 45 days. If he replies yes, then immediately we give the premium, then select yes, I want to select this premium, then immediately payment link, which is which redirects to the payment gateway of the insurance company. Make the payment immediately, policy PD, everything on WhatsApp. So we designed this workflow, and then the renewal percentage considerably increased. Yes. And also there were things like claim intimation. Again, whenever there is a claim, obviously the mentality of the customer is like he's in stress, right? He wants to make sure the claim is registered so that somebody comes and does the inspection. Now calling in the call center, waiting, and then we also have mobile apps, we have websites. So, but that is not the situation where the customer would be open website, go to the portal, enter the details. So what we did, a complete claim intimation on WhatsApp itself. So there were around 5 to 6 mandatory fields, the information that insurance company need, date of accident and location and all. So those fields you just enter and immediately get the claim number and it gets assigned to the surveyor. Survey is done immediately.
Which basically again brings us back to the same point that the enterprise have to be where the consumer is today rather than bringing the consumers to where we stand.
Correct.
Would also like to know what's been your experience of outbound messages on WhatsApp, not just inbound, because what I've heard is in terms of inbound, WhatsApp is a preferred this for a lot of organizations, but when it comes to outbound, the rules of the game change because maybe consumers don't want WhatsApp, what they consider a valuable real estate, to be cluttered with outbound messages. So maybe you can share some of that. And
just one use case I'll share. It was regarding NPS, Net Promoter Score. So earlier we used to send to our customers SMS, right, or email links, but the response was not that much. But when we send on WhatsApp, especially NPS, Net Promoter Score, where will you rate after policies purchase or maybe there was a claim, then we send a message to the customer saying, this is the, please share your experience with respect to policy servicing, with respect to the claim servicing, rate us from 1 to 10, so 4 to 5 questions, then the response was really high as compared to SMS or email.
So for outbound also, we did two type of things. One, to reduce this cost of multiple type of sending, because we want that first of all outbound, how can we bring the customer to respond so that we can start the free conversation, which is so what we did, two type of messages for this kind of thing. So first thing, where we want to send it's a kind of a notification that something has happened and then you are supposed to. So the hit ratio for those things were very high, especially when we built it for the collections, we built it for the policy renewals, and we also built it for somewhere when there the probability of bouncing is going too high. So we did some kind of model and then we figure it out that there are chances that for this customer EMI can bounce. So for those cases we figure it out, the bounce rate got reduced, renewals got increased, and also the collection efficiency got increased. So I think notifications or one-way communications was very good. Also where we want that customer now need to respond to us, something is pending. So we did that special case for life insurance where the documents were pending, and again Aditya Birla life insurance only. So there we figure it out, the customer responses were quicker and faster. So where there is a deficiency or some queries being raised during the underwriting process or some queries raised, so we put this channel available so that query can go to the customer through the notifications and customer can respond back. So the response were quite high. So the lead time which used to be there, that got reduced tremendously, because a hop first to either saying to the DSA or the agents, life insurance agents, or my person, salesperson, and then it is going to customer. Now I am directly reaching to customer at any point of time, and whenever customer is free, they can respond. And obviously the advantage is WhatsApp is the channel which is the most. So our responses became faster, and also this also that obviously TAT got reduced, and also the number of responded also got increased.
So something which
go ahead, Preeti. Go ahead.
Yeah, something which we did was we used both the things actually. So for earlier we were doing something called as a welcome call, and we found that we wanted to keep things very simple. So we said let's not do the welcome call. We started sending the welcome message on the WhatsApp. So the welcome kit and the entire onboarding details, the moment the loan was disbursed, was being sent on the WhatsApp. And immediately after that, because the moment the loan is disbursed, within 24 hours the welcome kit, everything is going on the WhatsApp, and we are following it up with the NPS thing. So we're telling him that your loan got disbursed and within 24 hours you've got the welcome kit delivered to you. So how would you rate us? So we've really found that our NPS for the onboarding piece has moved up considerably, primarily because usko welcome kit dekhna hai apna. And then immediately then he's getting the NPS. So that's one way in which we were able to tackle both the issues.
So for us, we look at WhatsApp as a complete business channel and a business channel of the future. So we have invested heavily on that, and we run a lot of campaigns, acquisition campaigns, cross-sell campaigns on WhatsApp. Not new acquisitions, but any repeat purchase from our external customer base. And there is also a complete suite of servicing module baked into the WhatsApp bot that we have. On the business channel, while it's still growing, we see tremendous potential. The quality, the amount, the average ticket size that people are, and it was a surprise even for us, because the average ticket size were multifold even of what we got on our website. So direct conversions coming in through WhatsApp, and it's growing month on month. So while WhatsApp is a very informal channel, and we ourselves were very apprehensive about how a person would be comfortable about sharing his PAN details or understanding where to invest, or rather investing through WhatsApp. The outcome has been really surprising. So very promising, I feel, WhatsApp is as a business channel. You should try it. You should try our Nippon WhatsApp. It's extremely lucid, very, very customer friendly.
No, absolutely. I think WhatsApp is here to stay as a channel to engage customers, that's for sure. How you build on top of WhatsApp and create interesting user journeys is going to be this, because a lot of times I see you do a hi hello on WhatsApp, but then you go to the website, you get a link to redirection, and that immediately brings down the completion of that journey, right?
I just wanted to share a data point on that.
Yeah.
The conversion rate on WhatsApp
Yeah.
is more than 10%. It's
So-
huge.
So if I could take a cue from what you said, Prachi, then are we delving into a sort of a realm which says that now we want the business models also like friends? It doesn't have to be always very formal. If I'm having a business conversation, I mean, looking at the data that you mentioned on WhatsApp, we also see similar success. We have implemented the WhatsApp banking for AU Bank. Same, we have it for new cell, whitelisted a new number for that, and for cross sell there is a different number which is whitelisted, and we see huge success. We run the WhatsApp banking for Kotak 811, we run it for AU, we run it for RBL and the likes. And we see, I mean, I met the MD of AU and RBL, and they also were very clear that this is where we want to be, this is where we see the consumers coming and moving on to. So irrespective of Meta trying to sort of manipulate all of us consumers as well as the enterprises, unfortunately that is the channel where people are hooked up to today.
Yes, and not just the customers of today's era, but you as a brand, as an organization, you also have to look at how do you tap into your investors or customers of the future, which are the Gen Zs of the
Absolutely.
world, right? You don't expect them to interact with an advisor or come to your website and
Never.
they will be hooked on to these assets, and you have to be present there.
Agree.
So there's one aspect of this conversation I want to touch about, and then we'll conclude this. And I want to bring in Payal for this, but of course you can jump in if you have a perspective, is on the consumer insighting, right? A lot of anecdotes are there about how you, after talking to your customers, you got that insight and then that led to a new business case or led to a product innovation, right? How do you see Gen AI playing any kind of role? Because now organizations have opened up so many channels to interact with customers. Do you see Gen AI playing a role in helping with consumer insighting and leading to new product ideas or business use cases? Do you see that happening?
Yes, absolutely, I see that, because earlier the challenge was that we had information, but we didn't really know whether it's one person saying it, or is it 50% of the customers are saying it, or how is it?
Yeah.
Now we are able to quantify it with the help of Gen AI, and also the fact that many such things would come into play when we get customer feedback. So basis the customer's feedback, if we can work on it, we can think of scenarios. For example, also on the preferred channel, for us in terms of broking, probably WhatsApp is not a channel where it would be a preferred channel for my company. Calls is.
Yes.
An inbound call and outbound call is something which works best for us, because we are into a time bound space. We have to place orders, there has to be real time consent.
There's immediacy.
Probably a mutual fund industry or probably for banking, it's not something which is supposed to be done immediately. I just want to check my balance, I can put a WhatsApp and the balance will come, I'll see the balance, it's okay. But that cannot really work if I have to buy something, sell something, square off something, buy something more, or do some other type of investment. So other than shares, yes, things can work on WhatsApp for us. But in terms of stock market, which is our bread and butter, that's something which primarily is going to be on calls. So with the help of Gen AI, we will really be open to figure out what is it that it brings for us in terms of new opportunities or a new product or maybe some new service which can help our line of customers. Where in fact even we have a mix of crowd, from age limits of say our customers or investors being less than 30 years of age, or maybe around 30-35, and then people who are above 35 years of age. Now their comfort, their preference of a communication channel, what kind of investments do they do, what kind of returns do they see, all of this is something which I believe Gen AI can help us, which will help us devise maybe new baskets of investments, devise new product strategies. Well, we already bought something in about 6 months back. So earlier a PMS was starting upwards of 5 lakhs. So we started with IAP, where you can at least start investing with 2 lakhs also, which can again not be like really a lump sum payment. You can still break that down. So getting such ideas to kind of attract investors in, I think probably Gen AI can help us with working on the data points.
Anybody else has a perspective to share on how Gen AI could help you with consumer insighting, not solve a 1% problem, but solve a problem that affects majority of the organization?
So one thing to add is there was a survey that was done, just as a data point, by BCG last year. So they did an AMC survey. They said that around 75% of the asset managers are okay to have the use of Gen AI. But only 16% of them actually know how will they be able to use them efficiently, because it's just that most of things are used even only to write some content, or maybe just send some policies over WhatsApp, or just do some screening. Only that basic use case was even known to them. So I think one of the first now, what is gaining traction is the quant-based selection of these stocks, right? So now that's also something that's picking up. There was a fund, I think, that was launched in 2017, some by the name AIEQ, that was using ML, which garnered around $70 million of AUMs in just few weeks of launching their product. That's something which people are actually even gaining, and it might not be far time that we see that under a document they're reading, the fund manager is some bot name. So that's not we just see that also coming up. Something else also to add on is the personalization. I think most of them spoke about the marketing, right? I don't know, I think we have Zepto on our phone. It's something outside of BFSI. 2 days back, they just sent a notification as a push notification saying that we want to fill up your heart. And then that was the headline 1. The headline 2 was selling Harpic as a product. So one thing was happening, there's no personalization was happening. That's something that's not going to be there, right? So misleading of this took actually a viral turn, even on social media, that they are not really even understanding of what the copywriters actually need some bashing around of how they're using Gen AI. So that's when I feel that if you're using AI, then at least make sure that you are having a vetted someone who's at least going through them, and also in terms of a good use case in broking as well as distribution of them.
In continuation to what you mentioned outside of BFSI, personalization and hyper-personalization, right? For example, when I'm shopping on Myntra and I select a different size, it nudges me. LK does not use this size. Are you sure this is the size you want, right? Something like that. But coming back to what you were saying, I mean, simplistic of a use case in terms of channel. And it's not always that, I am comfortable talking on WhatsApp 24/7. There are times, for example, I'm in the car dropping my daughter. I'm okay to have a call at that time because I'm not driving, right? Even that kind of conversational context to be available of your end consumer really helps. That at what time does my consumer prefer a call?
When and how?
When?
Preferred medium
Exactly.
of conversation.
And how the conversation should happen. So I think that is also something that if enterprises are able to leverage today, that can make the conversation, you can take home, whether it's a sale or it's a collection and so on.
Definitely.
Another aspect I think Payal touched upon is that calling is still a part of the customer journey. Elections recently happened and all of you must have got those automated voice calls, right?
Yeah.
So I think if you really want to reach a pan-India audience, calling has to be, I think even Preeti and I discussed that calling has to be part of your strategy. Just curious to know if you see Gen AI making those IVR kind of calls more natural in any way, if you've seen any use cases. Even Lalit, if you want to jump here, if you've seen anything.
I'll first
else.
hear and then.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it'll sound like a seller's pitch. So I'll first hear
Inbound,
from the
outbound
customer.
calls.
So I'll like to share just before coming, there was a random call of some Mohan builders. So these IVR bot calling is becoming a menace. And I feel early in the morning, nobody can reach out. Some random builder can't start calling me up. You don't know anything about whether I'm even interested. And you get these IVR bot calling. So that has turned to be a menace. No matter how much of language modeling you do, etc., you need to know the context of what your customer is looking for before you start reaching out to them.
So that problem might be solved in the near future because TRI has come out with
Yes.
identification, plan to do a true caller kind of
Yes.
implementation.
Yes.
So we've used humanoid, which is human-like calls, and we use it in our conversion journey. So wherever we see that the number of leads, we have a human team also with employees, but there are certain leads which come after working hours or they come on weekends, or we have a huge influx of leads. So in such times, one round of humanoid calling is done. And believe you me, about 60 to 70% of the times the customer for about first 5 minutes is not able to make out that it is a bot calling. It's like so real to calling. And we've not automated it completely. So if it's like a conversion call, and if the customer says, or the prospect says rather, that yes, he's interested in opening the account, so then it says, wait, I'll transfer it to the executive.
Yeah.
So yes, in filtering out leads or in certain reminder calls, right? Your SIP is about to cease, or you've missed your SIP, or your SIP due date is in 3 days. All of such callings, I think, where it is informative callings, such bots can be used, because then you save on a human manpower to really call and kind of waste productivity and time in just informing. And half of the times, such calls are not even picked up in the first attempt.
Yeah.
So maybe informative calls, yes, this can be used, but I'm not too sure how much of justice it can do to like handling real life scenarios. Yes, we've tried many scenarios where it will tell you got an OTP and log in with the OTP. I'm still here. You got a link. Click here. Go to this website. Okay. All of that is possible, but again, yes, there needs to be a time. There is some effort that the customer has to put in. He has to be ready for it. Yeah. I'm not sure whether we Indians are really ready for that kind of commitment of giving numbers, giving our Aadhaar numbers, PAN numbers, because of the trust issues. Okay. Like she rightly said, randomly people are calling and saying OTP de do, bank details bata do, ye kar do. So even the good things are taking time to perform.
Absolutely.
Call him up and say that, hey, this scheme, please invest and stuff like that. It's a very different ballgame for us. So highly regulated, and we.
And I think if you also look at it from the perspective of ROI, right? For example, collections. At the end of the day, it's a cost center. Yeah. It's not a revenue generating center for you, right? So you may want to obviously do, let's say, a bot calling from a reminder perspective that your due date is so and so, etc., because Doesn't make sense an agent sitting there consuming your infra, consuming your seat for him or her to sort of just call that your due date is this. I mean, that kind of qualification can be done, or intimation can be obviously done by a bot, as long as it is not technically sounding like a robot, because otherwise in the first 5 seconds everyone will disconnect the call.
Correct.
And second, like you rightly mentioned, I agree. The lead qualification as a service provider also we see in the industry as a very robust use case, because once we qualify a lead in terms of, only then an agent should be involved, because again, like I said, it's manpower, it's cost, it's infra, everything, right? And voice is the costliest currently at the end of the day.
Actually, on leads, what I've seen in the last 2 years is that that lead space has become so manipulated. You know, earlier there were like normal leads, regular leads, student leads, all of this coming, which was still easier to categorize. Nowadays we get random junk leads and like 2 lakh leads in one day.
Exactly.
It's like not even funny, because we're not even expecting itni leads aa jayenge ek din mein, you know, and they're all junk.
You should check with your marketing team on that.
No, in fact, we tried it. We had to block certain IPs because these leads were coming from Japan and Germany. It was nothing to do with the marketing team.
Some bot would be throwing the tweet to you.
Yes. So in fact, we had to raise a ticket internally to our IT team saying, okay, the infra team, that you need to block these IPs. Why are the leads coming from these countries? And these are not like true.
Yeah, there are other side of the table, there are people who are sitting there. It could be real people also calling your this, but there are a whole bunch of ways to this. No, of course, this is 2 lakh a day, is of course.
From 7 p.m. till 2 a.m.
Yeah.
From evening 7 p.m.
So that would be some kind of bot.
Yeah.
It's a bot.
And
I remember through marketplaces also you see a lot of immediate responses you get to your posting or
because
something.
even we know our website traffic, right?
Yeah.
Our mobile app is 99% of traffic. Website पे वैसे भी हमारा इतना traffic होता नहीं है, तो आप कैसे ही expect कर रहे हो कि you get 2 lakh leads over an evening for something which like we've not done anything.
No, put a bot control or something on your website.
Yeah, we did that. Yeah. So. And thankfully we quickly updated the data, and then obviously we understood the sequence also, because each number was 1 digit different and the name was one series different.
It's a series
and then we were like, we just have to kind of junk it.
So I think we are really pushing our time here. Preeti, thank you for staying with us this long. Lalit, if you can share a few concluding remarks and a little bit, believe you want to talk about Exotel, but if you just share something.
No, I think nothing to talk about Exotel as such. I mean, but I'm really, really happy to get so much of knowledge and so much of use cases from an industry perspective. So thank you so much, first of all, for that. We believe as an organization that we are also in the middle of the things. And I will not quote that we have resolved everything and, been there, done that. No. We're also on a journey. And what's important to realize is that it's not a destination. It is a journey. Right? And as much as we keep evolving, there is something else which will keep coming, because that's how technology works today. It's just that it is working faster than we or any of us anticipated, especially with GenAI sort of coming in. So happy to be connected with you after this. I firmly believe that we have something that we can really work with you on the journey on which you are, and find the synergies somewhere or the other. And like I said, the most important thing that we bring to the table is the co-creation, because it's not only about 48 SKUs, 25 products, etc., that we have, but we are willing to invest the time and effort to co-create with you and see if we can help you solve a business problem. So I would just want to close the remark on that, but thank you again for coming and sharing. Really, really appreciate that. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.